background noise, and if possible, keep your camera on when speaking. Thank you.
I really want to express my appreciation for Janelle for pinch hitting at a moment's notice this morning. Thank you so much, Janelle, for helping out today.
Yes, thank you, Janelle. All right, I will now introduce the other board members. To my left, Lena Lee Reeder of Sacramento, Denise Kadara of Allensworth, Sean Yang of Sacramento, and Art Baggett of El Portal. And to my right, Mark Bradford of Sacramento. And again, I'm Nick Abdis here in Sacramento. I will now introduce Patrick Palupa, who will in turn introduce his staff.
Good morning, Chair Abdis and members of the board. Directly across from me, I have Kennedy Knight with the Office of Chief Counsel. To my right in front of me, I have JJ Baum, Assistant Executive Officer in the Rancho Cordova office. To his left is Alex Mishagan, a senior engineer, a supervising engineer at the Fresno office. To my immediate right is Jessica Yar with the Office of Chief Counsel. You've had the pleasure of meeting Janelle Brown, one of our staff persons here in the Rancho Cordova office. And to her left is Christina Shoup, Assistant Executive Officer who runs our Fresno office. Clint Snyder and members of the board's team are also in the audience attending here today.
Thank you very much. Before we begin, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you are able. Salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, on to item number 3, board member communications. Any communications from board members that they'd like to disclose?
I'll go first. Good morning, everyone. On the 23rd of April, I spoke to the Water Education Foundation group who toured Allensworth, and this is their third year or so of touring. So we provided updated information on our water system, arsenic remediation, and things of that nature. On the 14th and 15th of May, I participated in the annual WQCC meeting. On the 18th of May, I participated in a meeting regarding water messaging. This is with our Allensworth Community Services District and our Allensworth Progressive Association. We asked for assistance from the State Water Board to lead discussions with us to address the issue of water messaging. With us having arsenic in our water, many of our residents that live in the community, our water in the community, arsenic levels 300 parts per billion. 3 miles away where we have our domestic wells, that's less than 10 parts per billion. But the residents have the concern, why should they be paying for water when there's arsenic? So we asked the state to come in and assist us with the proper messaging for that. And so we're still doing some discussions on it, but we want to make sure that the residents understand the water is compliant. And if they need water for bathing and so forth, that's what we need to do. So messaging is critically important. So we've asked for the State Water Board Communications Department to work with us on that. And lastly, on the 29th of May, I attended the Integrated Climate Adaptation and Resiliency Program Technical Advisory Council, of which I serve as a member. And that's all. Thank you.
Others?
On May 15, I attended the Water Quality Coordinating Committee meeting, and I've been working on Senate rules responses with Mr. Palupa.
And I too attended the WQCC. Moving on, item number 4. This is the public forum. This is an opportunity for the public to speak on items not on the agenda. If you're at the meeting and wish to speak, but not submitted a speaker card, please fill one out and give it to a staff member. If you're on Zoom and wish to speak, but have not registered, please raise your hand now. Janelle, has anyone requested to speak on any item not on the agenda?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have one.
Okay. Please call that speaker.
Joanne Kipps.
Ms. Kipps, the floor is yours. Ms. Kipps, are you there?
Oh, sorry for my, hello, good morning. My name is Joanne Kipps.
Hold on, Ms. Kipps, we can't hear you. Hold on. I don't see her muted. Why can't we hear her?
Hello?
There you are.
Okay,
Okay, please proceed.
good morning. My name is Joanne Kipps. I'm a Fresno County resident and civil engineer. My topic this morning is the nitrogen cycle in the land treatment of food processing waste. Compared with domestic wastewater, food processing wastewater contains higher levels of organic nitrogen. Through a process called mineralization, soil microbes slowly break down this organic nitrogen into ammonia, which can volatilize to the atmosphere or dissolve in water that can be taken up by plants or retained in the soil by binding to clay or organic matter. When soil contains sufficient free oxygen, aerobic microbes convert ammonium to nitrate through a process called nitrification. Ammonium is usually absent in natural groundwater. Elevated groundwater ammonium indicates inadequate free oxygen for effective nitrification of applied organic nitrogen or ammonia used in the treatment of acidic food processing wastewater prior to land discharge. Nitrate is highly soluble in water and readily available for plant uptake. However, as you know, when soil nitrate exceeds plant demand, it can leach into groundwater and impair its use for human consumption. The nitrate ion has 4 atoms, 1 nitrogen and 3 oxygen. Food processing wastewater contains high concentrations of organic carbon measured as biochemical oxygen demand. Aerobic microbes consume this BOD using free oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide. After free oxygen is depleted, certain microbes use the oxygen that's bound to nitrate, which is converted to nitrogen gas in a process called denitrification. Nitrogen gas is inert, slightly lighter than air, and eventually escapes to the atmosphere. A key indicator of BOD overloading is groundwater nitrate that is very low or non-detect relative to background. This means soil is anoxic, meaning free oxygen has been depleted. When the all-you-can-eat BOD buffet is still open under anoxic soil conditions, other microbes use oxygen bound to solid metal oxides, a topic for my next public forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kipps. No one else, correct?
Let me check and see. I see Fred Beltran may have indicated that he wants to speak on a public forum on a matter not related to Terabella issues. Is that correct? If so, feel free to raise your hand, Mr. Beltran.
Good morning, board.
Go ahead,
Can
Mr.
you hear me?
Beltran. Yep, we can hear you.
I was going to speak on behalf on the issue of the an item you have on there for the Terabella permit. I don't know if you want to wait till then.
Yes, well,
Yeah, we can wait till then, Mr. Beltran, and we'll
Okay,
reset
thank you.
your clock when that shows up.
Thank you.
all right, seeing no more speakers at this point of the agenda, I would like to pull in item 3 from day 1, which was the State Board Liaison Report. I believe we have Board Member Morgan virtually.
That's correct. Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair Athis and members of the board. Happy to join you virtually today. So have quite a few updates, and the state board has been busy here in recent months. So I want to thank everyone who was able to join the Water Quality Coordination Committee meeting, the WQCC meeting. Just want to let you know that meeting recordings have been placed on the WQCC webpage. So the State Board's Racial Equity Action Plan 2025 update was published on May 6th. The details apologies, it details the progress of each division office made towards the racial equity actions. And the State Board discussed the annual updates at its May 19th regularly scheduled meeting. The plan invites you to share your experiences, reflections, and feedback at how the State Board has implemented the plan this past year. And an interactive report is also available on our webpage. Let's see here, we issued the draft decision and draft permit, or I should say our administrative hearing office issued it. And we accepted written comments through May 22nd. That's on our site reservoir project. And then for our Delta Conveyance Project, which is also led by our Administrative Hearing Office, our AHO, the protestants rebuttal portion of the hearing will began on June 1st. We're already in June. Time is flying here. It's going to continue throughout the month. On April 23rd, AHO staff released a ruling on DWR's objections. And on May 1st, staff released the procedural ruling on evidence objections. More information can be found on that project's webpage. So just a reminder, I am on ex parte communications for sites and DCP. So our ag expert panel, the State Board will hold the final plenary meeting. Actually, that's tomorrow, on June 5th from 10 to 4 to review and discuss initial recommendations in response to the panel charge questions. And so if you are available, please tune in. That'll be the final meeting there. Water conservation, the State Board adopted the Making Conservation of California a Way of Life regulation in July 2024. It has been in effect since January 1st, 2025. The regulation requires urban retail water suppliers to annually calculate and comply with urban water use objective, carry out commercial, industrial, and institutional performance measures, and provide annual progress reports to the State Board. At our June 2nd board meeting, staff presented progress to date and supplier report submission and compliance with their objectives, upcoming regulatory deadlines and requirements, and available technical assistance support with suppliers in the water conservation efforts. I just have to say that on this item here, staff have been doing a great job of really working with other experts within the water community to really bring in, just really have a collaborative effort of moving this forward, working with our sister agency, DWR, also working with other water agencies, the Data Collaborative, and just really looking outside the box for other resources and making sure that technical assistance is available and other resources available for water suppliers to basically have the assistance that they need to come into compliance. Because that really is our focus here, is compliance and not enforcement at this time. And so please, if you have questions, please reach out to our staff. They're there to help, and there's other available resources throughout the state. So constituents of emerging concern and 6PD and 6PD keynote. So looking at the impacts of tires are having on our waterways. So our program staff had presented an informational item at the June 16th State Board meeting to provide an update on program progress and interagency coordination. This item provided an overview of the program progress, including development of a statewide CEC strategy and key foundational efforts, highlighting the ongoing work. So And they also featured updates on 6PD, 6PPD and 6PD, from the CEC program, Department of Toxic Substance Control, and the California Department of Transportation. So more information can be found on the program webpage. Let's see here, on June 2nd, the state board adopted an emergency regulation for electronic reporting of drinking water quality data at its regularly scheduled board meeting. The regulations will allow the state board to enforce the current electronic reporting requirements directly against public water quality, public water systems, which are responsible for utilizing laboratories to provide and to analyze drinking water and report regulatory results through the California Laboratory Intake Portal, which has been named CLIP. So it seems that we continue to love our acronyms here. Let's see here. So public workshop on the proposed lead and copper rule improvement regulation and Assembly Bill 1096 policy handbook. The state board staff will hold a virtual staff-led workshop and accept public comments regarding a proposal for incorporating the federal lead and copper rule improvements into California regulations and an outline of the policy handbook implementing Assembly Bill 1096 on Thursday, June 11th from 9 to noon. The proposed aquifer exemption for Kern River oil field in Kern County. The state board will consider adopting a resolution during the June 16th board meeting. The board meeting related to the proposed aquifer exemption for Kern River oil field located in Kern County. If adopted, the resolution will direct state board staff to ensure final concurrence letter to the oil and gas supervisor of the of CalGEM supporting approval. Let's see, Department of Transportation's annual update to the total maximum daily load, also known as TMDL compliance plan. State board staff will accept written comments on the Department of Transportation's proposed November 2025 annual update to the total maximum daily load compliance plan required by the basically the statewide stormwater permit. The November 2025 annual update to the TMDL compliance plan is available on the state board's webpage. Written comments must be received no later than noon on June 8th to be considered. So the New Bullards Bar Dam atmospheric river control spillway project, that is a lot of words there. On May 14, 2026, the state board staff released for public review and comment a draft water quality certification for Yuba County Water Agency's New Bullards Bar Dam atmospheric river control spillway project. The project is located in Yuba County at the New Bullards Bar Dam and involves construction and operation of new spillway. The project proposed is to support flood risk and reduce the Yuba Feather River system by enhancing reservoir release capacity and operational flexibility, particularly during high flow events. This certification action relates to an amendment to River Development Project Federal Energy Regulation Commission license. Additional information can be found on the State Water Board's Yuba River Development Project's webpage. And so last but not least, state board staff are holding their annual stakeholder fee meetings. Let's see here, on June 11th, the drinking water and ELAP meetings will be held. June 12th, water quality and water rights, and July 30th, water quality and water rights on July 31st, drinking water and ELAP. That concludes my report, and I am available if there are any questions.
Thank you very much, Board Member Morgan. A lot of detail there. Any questions or comments by my colleagues? Thank you very much, Nicole.
Thank you
feel
so
better?
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nicole. I want to wish you to feel better soon as
Okay.
well. And I always appreciate kind of your nuts and bolts kind of reading of these policies and the impact that it'll have on the regional board. I know it reflects on your engineering expertise and your time spent here at Region 5. So thank you so much for that update.
And thank you all. Apologies, I wasn't able to be there in person this time.
No worries. We'll see you next time. All right, moving on to item number 5 on the agenda, which is the executive officer's report. Again, prior to each meeting, the EO works with the board clerk and the board's program managers to compile a report on the status of the board's various programs and staffing and many different initiatives that the board is working on. If you wish to speak on this item, please turn in a speaker slip. And if you're on Zoom and wish to speak, please raise your hand now. At this time, I'd like to hand the controls over to Patrick to discuss this item and take any questions on the report.
Yeah, certainly welcome any questions on the report. Again, board meeting in and board meeting out, Mindy puts a lot of time and effort working with the program managers to compile dozens of success stories, all sorts of stuff that happens outside of the purview of the board meeting, including cleanup sites that have advanced towards closure or have been closed, and just a lot of permitting, enforcement actions, things like that. So there's a whole litany of those in there. Happy to take any questions on any of those. I also have 2 employee recognition awards for this board meeting.
Patrick, I just want to take a moment to just acknowledge the amount of work that goes into these meetings. As a board member and us as board members are here for a very short period of time, and having a well-oiled machine, I think, is very evident, and that's a testament to your leadership and obviously the work of staff. So thank you, and I extend my gratitude to staff as well. But go ahead and proceed.
It's all staff. I know I sometimes throw a little element of chaos into the mix. So I credit entirely goes to the staff for all the work that they do. First up, I think I saw him out there, Jared. Yeah, come on up. Making the trip down from our northern reaches. Jared Ferguson is within the Water Quality Certifications and Stormwater Program in the Reading office. Lynn wrote this up for you. Jared is being recognized for his exceptional performance in the stormwater and water quality certifications programs. Since joining the Central Valley Water Board's Reading team in 2017 as a scientific aide and being promoted to an environmental scientist in 2019, Jared has consistently demonstrated strong technical skills, professionalism, and dedication. Jared manages a substantial workload within the construction, industrial, and municipal stormwater programs and is a key contributor to permitting, compliance, and enforcement activities. He has taken lead roles on multiple enforcement cases and collaborated with the Office of Chief Counsel to develop enforcement templates tailored to the unit's needs. Beyond his core responsibilities in the Water Quality Certifications Program, Jared has demonstrated leadership and commitment to advancing the program. He serves as one of the region's wetland delineation trainers, a role that required extensive field training and long-term dedication to training program staff. To expand his expertise, Jared also actively participates in the statewide work group for aquatic resource delineation review. Jared's work on the Union Pacific Railroad North Dunsmuir Railroad project, which we all took a visit to not too long ago, further illustrates his capabilities. As part of the regulatory team, he has provided oversight of stormwater permits and 401 water quality certifications for remedial actions aimed at eliminating the discharge of oil to the Sacramento River. His role had required close coordination with the Unified Command, numerous federal and state agencies, and internal groundwater staff. His responsibilities include reviewing technical documents, evaluating monitoring data, conducting inspections, and providing input on project modifications. Jared is respected by his colleagues, partner agencies, consultants, and the regulated community for his responsiveness, collaboration, and professionalism. He consistently manages multiple priorities while maintaining high-quality work. His positive attitude, strong work ethic, and willingness to take on complex tasks make him an invaluable asset to the programs and to the Central Valley Water Board. And I know kind of my training's in the legal sphere. And as every kind of attorney here and many of the program managers know, the 401 program has been through the ringer these past 10 years or so. The requirements have changed radically and over again. As you know, we've heard a few demonstrations about the waters of the US. Well, waters of the US matters most when it comes to the 401 Water Quality Certifications Program. On top of all that, we saw huge changes to the United States Army Corps of Engineers regulations, which kind of have to work hand in glove with our water quality certifications unit. So when we talk about Jared being an expert on delineation and wetland delineation tools, we're taking over a lot of that work and expertise in a very short amount of time from the Army Corps of Engineers to make sure that our wetlands and our water bodies are protected. It requires a lot of skill, a lot of adaptation on the fly, and a lot of conversations with unhappy dischargers who aren't quite sure what that regulation means because it's changing so rapidly under their feet. I know Clint and Lynn have been providing me positive feedback, certainly of the folks in this office, but also of Jared and the work that he's doing with stakeholders in the north part of our region. So congratulations, Jared.
Thank you.
There you go. Should I give you the right one? Hang out at one of those seats up here. We have another award, and then we'll take some pictures with the board in just a minute. All right. Next up, Ashlyn. And I think a not insignificant reason why we are having this board meeting here in this office and that it is not a hulking, soggy ruin is because Ashlyn was here throughout the entirety of the construction project, including all the missteps of the contractors that she was not responsible for, but had direct responsibility for addressing the needs of that team. In addition, you may have noticed a few faces walking around this office that are new. We have fully absorbed a unit of the Division of Drinking Water here in a couple of the offices in that part of this building. It's a collaboration with the State Water Board. As you know, the return to the office and all the different type of personnel projects that are happening really have a direct impact on the facilities team here. And Ashlyn is getting this award as a leader of that facilities team. Ashlyn Ross has demonstrated exceptional initiative, innovation, and leadership, consistently exceeding the normal requirements of her position. She successfully managed the complex tenant improvements. I love how that's called. The ceiling caving in was the tenant improvement, but the bathrooms look a lot nicer than they used to. Including office renovations, executive team relocation, and coordination with multiple entities such as the Department of General Services, State Board, Property Management, and multiple contractors and subcontractors, while ensuring uninterrupted operations and employee safety. Her proactive problem solving during unforeseen challenges such as building leaks, safeguarded productivity, and maintained a safe work environment. These efforts resulted in zero downtime for staff and completion of all improvements within projected timelines despite multiple obstacles. Her ability to anticipate risks and implement solutions ensured the continuity of critical services under challenging circumstances while delivering exceptional customer service to internal stakeholders by maintaining clear communication and responsiveness throughout the process. In addition, Ashlyn developed and maintained two critical SharePoint platforms for the construction site, which centralized construction project updates, and the HR fact site, which decreased repetitive inquiries to the administrative staff by an estimated 40%, allowing the team to focus on more complex issues. These tools have transformed communication, improved response time, and enhanced overall organizational efficiency. Ashlyn's ingenuity, attention to detail, and ability to anticipate needs have had a lasting positive impact on the Rancho Cordova office and on the broader organization. Her outstanding performance, measurable contributions, and commitment to exceptional customer service make her a highly deserving candidate for the Superior Accomplishment Award. Congratulations, Ashlyn. Take a couple pictures. I don't know whoever has a camera. It's usually a Mindy job, but anybody with a camera, more than happy to see.
While you two are making it up here, I want to also extend my appreciation for all the work. I know it's not easy also being called up and you have to sit there and listen to all the nice things about you.
Yeah, we wanted
So Denise, can you, yeah, either that way or that way, probably that way. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, okay, perfect. Smile, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Patrick, I have to say, serving on numerous boards and commissions over my career, I do appreciate the fact that we take the opportunity to recognize the stellar contributions of our folks. So I do appreciate that. I think we're getting a little caffeine break here. So, all right, I'd like to move on now to item number 6. Well, does anybody have any questions on I assume there's no questions on the executive officer's report. So relative to the minutes, are there any edits or corrections to the April 17th, 2026 meeting minutes from our meeting in Clovis? If not, I will entertain a motion and a second.
To approve of the minutes for 17th of April.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Janelle, will you call the roll, please?
Board Member Bradford,
Yes.
Board Member Kadara,
Yes.
Board Member Yang,
Aye.
Board Member Baggett,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lee Reader,
Aye.
Chair Abdus,
Yes. So the motion passes. Moving on to item number 7. So I'm looking at Patrick. I'm confirming the uncontested items 8, 9, 10, and 12 through 16. Is that still
There
correct?
is one that we're removing. Let me just make double sure. It is items, all of that except for 16B, which is the rescission for the UC Davis's individual NPDS permit. We will be taking that to the August board meeting, working out some details with the discharger right now. But other than that, you are correct. It is items 8, 9, 10, and 12 through 16 with that one exception. And I do believe we have a couple late revisions as well.
Okay, well, let's open it up for any public comment on this. If you're a person who wishes to speak, please turn in a speaker card. If you're on the Zoom platform, please raise your hand now. Do we have any folks that wish to comment on the uncontested calendar items?
we have none.
All right, and the late revisions, please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. We've got one late change for item 8, the large domestic general order. One change to clarify the requirement in the general order, clarifying when the requirement applies to disinfect the wastewater going to the disposal area. Just a minor clarification, and it should be in your agenda package.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we're considering, like, as Patrick said, items 8, 9, 10, and 12 through 16A with the late revisions. I'll go ahead and make the
It's all of 16 except for 16E.
except, all of 16.
B, that's right. Wait, real quick. 16B, sorry.
B
All
as
of
in boy.
16 except for 16B as in boy.
Okay. Again, I'll make the motion. Can I please get a second?
Second.
All right, Janelle, please take the roll.
Board Member Bradford,
Yes.
Board Member Kadara,
Yes.
Board Member Yang,
Aye.
Board Member Baggett,
Vice Chair Lee Reader,
Aye.
Chair Abdus.
Yes. All right. Moving on to item 11. Oh,
Can I?
Oh, I'm
make
sorry.
Just a brief comment.
Yes,
And this
please.
is in regards to item number 8. I just wanted to, it was a consent item, but a lot of work has gone into item number 8, and I want to acknowledge Alex Muchigan and the supervising water resource control engineer, and Chad Neptune, senior engineer geologist, for their work on the general order for the wastewater plants. We've had a lot of items going forth, but just recognizing it was a huge multi-year effort to streamline the permitting and get nearly 200 of our discharges under the standardized permit. So while it was a consent item, we want to acknowledge the quality work that was done to get this forward, and we really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. All right, on to item number 11. Before I call the item, is there anything we need to discuss relative to this item before I dive into it, Patrick?
I think we can go right into it and open the hearing on it. I think there's a little bit of a consideration of a late comment item at the onset, but I would suggest that the board open the hearing and have that discussion as part of the hearing consideration.
All right, at this time, this is consideration of a revised waste discharge requirements order numbers 92-191 and 94-302 for Set and Pistachio of Terrabella Inc. and Porterville Citrus Inc., Terrabella Processing Facilities, Tulare County. This time, the board will consider the order revising the WDRs that I just mentioned. If you are a person in the meeting and wish to speak but have not submitted a speaker card, please do so now and give it to a staff member. If you're on the Zoom platform, please raise your hand. This hearing will be conducted in accordance with the notice of public hearing and meeting procedures published with the meeting agenda. At this time, evidence should be introduced on whether the proposed action should be taken. The designated parties are Set and Pistachio of Terrabella Inc. and Porterville Citrus Inc. California Rural Assistance has also requested time to present as an interested person to the proceeding, and a number of community members may also testify as interested persons. Interested persons are generally allowed up to 3 minutes each to provide their comments. A timer will be used. To all persons expecting to testify and provide evidence, please raise your hand and take the following oath. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth? If so, answer by saying I do. All right, when you come up to testify, please state your name, address, and affiliation, and whether you've taken the oath. All right, if any participant is having technical difficulties online, please notify us immediately by raising your hand virtually on the Zoom platform under the participants tab, or if you're using a phone, by pressing *9. You may also send an email to agenda5@waterboards.ca.gov. If there are technical difficulties, please note we will stop the hearing to address those issues and will not resume until all designated parties can participate. We will now begin with the staff presentation.
And before we do, I just want to mention that California Rural Legal Assistance submitted a comment letter. I think it's about 192 pages, including attachments, late yesterday evening, unfortunately. This is well beyond the April 8th comment deadline. Unfortunately, the comment deadlines are very important for the orderly procedures that we follow at this board. It's from Division 3 of Title 23 of the California Code of Regulations, sets forth the standards by which we conduct these meetings and conduct these hearings. It would be my recommendation to exclude that from the administrative record as a late comment.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with that recommendation. I will say that California Rural Legal Assistance should know better. I don't appreciate getting a 192-page comment letter the night before the hearing. So, okay.
If there's no objections, we can move forward with the staff presentation.
Staff, please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Abdus and members of the board. My name is Brian Rock.
I'm a senior engineering geologist in the Groundwater Quality Protection Program in the board's Fresno office, and I have taken the oath. The item before you today is a proposed update to the waste discharge requirements, or WDRs, for the discharge of processing wastewater from the Terabella processing facilities, which are owned and operated by Seton Pistachio of Terabella and Porterville Citrus. This presentation will provide a brief overview of the facilities, proposed WDR conditions, and address comments received during the 30-day public comment period. The Terabella processing facilities are located in Tulare County within the community of Terabella and consist of two separate processing operations, one for pistachios and one for citrus. Seton Pistachio of Terabella owns and operates the pistachio facility shaded in green on the slide. And Porterville Citrus owns and operates the citrus facility shaded in orange. Seton and Porterville Citrus operate independently, but they share a wastewater conveyance system and land application areas, which are owned by Seton. Seton operates year-round, but only generates wastewater during an approximate 55-day processing season from mid to late August to mid-October. Porterville Citrus conducts its citrus processing activities and generates wastewater during the remainder of the year from October to July. Discharges from each of the facilities are currently regulated by separate individual WDRs from the early 90s that no longer reflect current practices or board policies. Under their existing respective orders, Seton is authorized to discharge up to 1.5 million gallons per day of wastewater to an unlined pond and 153 acres of alfalfa. And Porterville Citrus is authorized to discharge 80,000 gallons per day of citrus wastewater to an evaporation percolation pond and 6.4 acres of oranges. In 2020, this board issued a cease and desist order to abate nuisance conditions in the form of strong, persistent odors affecting the surrounding community. These odors were linked to a 350 acre-foot wastewater storage pond used by the pistachio facilities. Nuisance conditions include situations that are harmful, annoying, or disruptive to nearby residents. The CDO required Seton to immediately stop generation of nuisance conditions associated with the storage pond and other ponds at the pistachio facility, and submit reports outlining improvements to the wastewater treatment, storage, and distribution systems at the pistachio facility to prevent nuisance conditions from continuing. In response, the dischargers made substantial modifications to the wastewater system, including ceasing discharge of wastewater to the 350 acre-foot storage pond, implementing treatment system improvements and subsurface irrigation at the land application areas, and application area expansion to 961 acres to reduce retention times in the wastewater ponds and minimize formation of odors. Given the corrective measures and changes to the wastewater system at the facilities, the CDO was rescinded by this board in April 2025. Since adoption of the existing WDRs, the facilities have undergone substantial changes. These include upgrades to the wastewater treatment system and increased flows, consolidation of wastewater management between the pistachio and citrus facilities, and significant odor control improvements and expansion of the land application areas, or LAAs. Because of these changes, multiple reports of waste discharge have been submitted for staff review. A report of waste discharge is a formal permit application required by the California Water Code when a discharger proposes new or modified waste discharges. A report of waste discharge includes detailed technical information demonstrating how a facility's discharge will comply with applicable water board policies, such as the anti-degradation policy, as well as the applicable basin plan. The most recent report of waste discharge was submitted in September 2025, which proposed additional wastewater treatment and disposal system upgrades, an increase in pistachio wastewater flows to 3 million gallons per day and 85 million gallons per year, an expansion of the LAAs to a total of 961 acres. Since 2019, staff have reviewed and provided detailed comments on approximately 9 different reports of waste discharge for the facility. These detailed reviews help to ensure that Seton and Porterville Citrus propose to discharge in a manner that would not cause groundwater pollution or create nuisance conditions, and ensure that the dischargers provided the necessary information for staff to develop updated waste discharge requirements. The most recent report of waste discharge included several key updates to the proposed treatment system, the wastewater treatment system, including removal of the dissolved air flotation units, which had previously been used to remove suspended solids, the installation of additional filtration throughout the treatment process to further improve solids removal, and construction of the lined Bella Pond, which is designed to function as a short-term holding pond prior to additional solids removal by a new centrifuge. These treatment system modifications were implemented to reduce suspended solids and odor-causing organic material in the facility's wastewater, and the upgrades were completed prior to the 2025 pistachio processing season, following a pilot test of the centrifuge during the 2024 processing season. Wastewater generated at the pistachio facility is screened and filtered, then distributed to several ponds to temporarily store and aerate wastewater prior to discharge to the LAAs shown in the next slide. The active wastewater ponds used at the facilities are shown here outlined in orange. The Gunite Pond and the new Bella Pond are lined, while the east and west ponds are not. The large 350-acre-foot pond previously used to store wastewater is also shown here outlined in blue. It is now used to store stormwater and does not receive wastewater. The proposed WDRs prohibit the discharge of wastewater to the 350-acre-foot pond. The other pond shown on the map is the Padula Pond, which is an irrigation pond on the discharger's property that also does not receive wastewater. From the east and west ponds, pistachio wastewater is discharged to 961 acres of orchards situated west and southwest of the facilities as shown in this picture. Citrus wastewater is collected in a wet well at the facilities and sent directly to the LAAs, the majority of which are planted in pistachio trees with a winter wheat cover crop, and the remaining 132 acres are planted with citrus. Wastewater is applied to the LAAs via subsurface drip lines to reduce the potential for standing water and the creation of odors. Supplemental irrigation water is provided using a separate drip irrigation system. The utilization of only subsurface drip irrigation at the LAAs significantly reduces the possibility of odors being generated from the application of wastewater on the LAAs. This slide shows the 2024-2025 average wastewater quality for discharges to the LAAs from the facility. As I mentioned in a previous slide, the advanced solid removal systems were added prior to the 2024 pistachio harvest season and are reflected by the data presented. These data show that the facility's wastewater has high levels of salts, some metals, and biochemical oxygen demand, or BOD. These concentrations are mostly typical of wastewater generated for these types of processing facilities in the Central Valley. Total dissolved solids and fixed dissolved solids tell us how much material is mixed into the water and gives us a sense of how salty the water is. Total dissolved solids, or TDS, is a measure of all the salts and minerals dissolved in the water. Fixed dissolved solids, or FDS, are the solids that remain after water is heated until it completely dries up. These solids don't burn away and stay behind as a dry, dusty residue. We look at both of these measurements to understand how salty or mineral heavy the wastewater is and to make sure that it is managed safely. In the next slide, I'll provide more information on biochemical oxygen demand, or BOD. The primary odor concern with wastewater generated at the facilities is the high BOD in the discharges. BOD is a measure of how much oxygen is needed to break down organic material, and high levels of BOD indicate that the wastewater contains a large amount of organic material. When wastewater with a lot of organic material is stored in ponds, bacteria work hard to break down and decompose this material, and in the process, they can use up oxygen very quickly. If there is enough oxygen in the water, this process does not usually produce strong odors. However, when oxygen in the ponds runs low and the ponds shift to anaerobic conditions, different bacteria begin to break down the organic material and produce gases that have strong, unpleasant odors. This process played a major role in the odor complaints that came from the 350 acre-foot pond previously used to store the Pistachio facility wastewater. To prevent these conditions from recurring, the discharger has made several important improvements. These include discontinuing use of the 350 acre-foot pond, increasing solids removal through filtration and a centrifuge, and reducing the time wastewater is held in active ponds to less than 2 hours. These steps are designed to limit the amount of wastewater the wastewater can sit in low oxygen conditions, and that lead to odor formation. The proposed WDRs carry over the existing citrus facility average daily flow limit and would authorize the proposed increases in daily and annual flows from the Pistachio facility. The proposed WDRs also require nitrogen loading to the LAAs be at reasonable agronomic rates and requires continued compliance with the salt and nitrate control programs. Wastewater data show that the crops grown at the LAAs need more nitrogen than what is supplied by the wastewater. The proposed WDRs also establish performance-based salt limits consistent with the salt control program's requirement for dischargers enrolled in the prioritization and optimization study to maintain existing salt levels. In addition, the proposed WDRs include a requirement for the dischargers to prepare and implement metals evaluation and minimization work plan to address elevated iron and manganese in the facility's wastewater. Because the wastewater contains high BOD levels, the potential for odor generation remains a consideration. The proposed WDRs address this through requirements such as subsurface irrigation at the LAAs, aeration to increase oxygen levels in the ponds, strict control of wastewater handling practices, and prohibitions on discharging to the former odor-producing pond. Together, these measures are intended to minimize the formation of nuisance odors and prevent issues that occurred in the past. The proposed WDRs also require the facilities to treat the wastewater to remove organic material before it's applied to the land and to follow limits on how much BOD can be applied to the LAAs. Even with the high levels of BOD in the wastewater, the dischargers have shown that by using a larger area of land, they can apply wastewater and keep BOD loading below 100 pounds per acre per day, which can significantly reduce odors at the LAAs. In addition to helping prevent odors, setting a limit on BOD application from the wastewater is an effective measure to prevent metals in wastewater and soils, such as iron and manganese, to move through the soil to groundwater. The proposed WDRs also require that wastewater remain in the ponds for no more than 2 hours. If a pond goes over this time limit, the dischargers must increase aeration to increase the amount of oxygen in the wastewater and prevent conditions that could lead to odors. In addition, the proposed WDRs require daily inspections during the processing seasons. These inspections must check for odors as well as for flies or mosquitoes around the treatment systems and along the edges of the facilities and LAAs. As part of the development of the tentative WDRs for the facilities, staff conducted extensive outreach within the community of Terabella. In July 2025, Groundwater Quality Protection Program staff began attending regular meetings hosted by the Identifying Violations Affecting Neighborhoods, or IVAN, Tulare Task Force. These meetings focus on environmental issues in Tulare County and include various governmental and environmental justice attendees, including Tarabella's Voice for Change, which represents and includes some Tarabella residents. This timeline shows staff's outreach to Tarabella community members, which included a presentation of the process for revising the current WDRs, regular updates concerning the proposed WDRs, and a public information session held in the community. The proposed WDRs were circulated for public comment on March 9th, 2026. On the evening of March 24th, Groundwater Quality Protection Program staff hosted a public info session at Carl Smith Middle School in Tarabella. During the information session, staff shared a presentation of the tentative WDRs to interested Tarabella community members, discussing the permitting process, the existing WDR orders for the facility, and the proposed updates to the WDRs. The presentation was followed by a productive discussion during which Central Valley Water Board staff and management addressed community members' questions in an open house format. Comments received on the proposed WDRs, comments were received from 3 parties, including Seton, California Rural Legal Assistance, or CRLA, on behalf of Tarabella's Voice for Change, and from Ms. Joanne Kipps, an interested person. Staff reviewed and addressed these comments in our response to comments document included with the agenda package, and made some revisions to the tentative WDRs based on the comments received. While Seton and Ms. Kipps have confirmed that they will not contest the WDRs as proposed, CRLA has indicated that they are contesting the tentative WDRs. The following is a summary of some of the concerns raised by CRLA and staff's responses. First, CRLA argues that the proposed WDRs violate the state's anti-degradation policy. Their position is that the order would allow continued degradation of historically high-quality groundwater, and that the board has not demonstrated that this degradation provides maximum benefit to the people of the state. They also contend that the proposed requirements do not ensure best practicable treatment or control, or BPTC, and that the order does not adequately protect municipal or agricultural beneficial uses. Specifically, they point to the absence of enforceable nitrate limits, what they view as inadequate salinity controls, and the lack of additional treatment measures, such as reinstating the dissolved air flotation system or lining all the wastewater ponds. Staff disagree that the degradation authorized by the proposed WDRs will result in pollution of the underlying groundwater. Staff acknowledges historical water quality concerns at and around the facility, such as increasing local trends in nitrate and salt concentrations, but note that groundwater quality with elevated nitrate and salinity results exist regionally, both up gradient and down gradient of the facilities and LAAs, and are not likely the sole result of discharges from the facilities, but numerous agricultural and industrial sources in the area. Nevertheless, the dischargers are active participants in the collective compliance approaches for both the salt and nitrate control programs, and are working towards long-term sustainable solutions for regional salt and nitrate accumulation in the Central Valley. As discussed in the anti-degradation policy section of the proposed WDRs, staff conducted a comprehensive evaluation of the facility's discharge and the underlying groundwater using all available data. This evaluation determined that the wastewater could threaten groundwater if it is not properly stored, treated, and discharged. Staff's conclusion are supported by the extensive technical review conducted over the past several years. And as shown earlier, staff reviewed approximately 9 reports of waste discharge submitted between 2019 and 2025, providing detailed comments and requiring the dischargers to refine and strengthen their proposed treatment and disposal approaches. These thorough reviews ensure that the proposed operations reflect best practical treatment or control. The proposed WDRs incorporate improvements by requiring upgraded operational practices, enhanced treatment to remove solids, limits on pond retention time, performance-based salinity controls, and increased monitoring to track compliance and assess both actual and potential impacts to groundwater. By contrast, CRLA did not provide technical evidence or analysis showing that the salt or nitrate discharges authorized by the order would degrade groundwater below high-quality conditions. Staff's evaluation demonstrates that with required controls in place, the discharge will be protective of beneficial uses and consistent with the state's anti-degradation policy. Next, CRLA contends that the proposed WDRs do not sufficiently address potential odors created at the facilities or include sufficient compost management requirements. They note that in their view, the system upgrades described by the dischargers are not enough to demonstrate that odors will be prevented going forward. CRLA further asserts that longstanding odor complaints indicate that the dischargers have a history of non-compliance and that the proposed WDRs lack sufficiently clear and enforceable consequences for odor violations. Staff acknowledges past odor issues, as well as the significant improvements that have been implemented at the facilities as a result of the CDO. Consequently, the board rescinded the CDO, and the proposed WDRs include specifications to ensure the discharges continue to implement these practices to mitigate odor issues from the facility's discharges. As discussed earlier, staff spent significant time reviewing the dischargers' proposed changes in operational practice and control measures to ensure they would effectively reduce odors. This included evaluating how each improvement, such as increased solids removal or the pond retention times, would help prevent the conditions that previously led to odor complaints. Staff's detailed review confirmed that the proposed practices collectively provide strong and reliable odor mitigation measures for the facilities. With regard to compost management, the proposed WDRs do not authorize compost production at the facilities. The proposed WDRs do include requirements for proper handling, short-term storage, and off-site disposal for solids to prevent impacts to water quality. However, the board does not have authority to enforce health and safety codes referenced by CRLA's comments and has limited authority to regulate odors that are not related to wastewater treatment and/or disposal, such as the discharger's application of finished compost to its LAAs as an agricultural amendment. Nevertheless, the proposed WDRs required the dischargers to monitor nutrient sources like compost used on the LAAs and to outline management practices to ensure nutrients are applied at agronomic rates. In response to CRLA's request for inclusion of prescriptive escalating enforcement measures, the proposed WDRs retain enforceable numeric and performance-based prohibitions and rely on the board's existing statutory and regulatory enforcement authorities to address violations. This is consistent with board practice, and staff contend that the proposed WDRs provide the board with a much better avenue to pursue any necessary enforcement activities relative to the current WDR orders that regulate the facilities. Lastly, CRLA states that the proposed WDRs rely on a 2024 Tulare County Environmental Impact Report, or EIR, for a prior project configuration, but subsequent project modifications constitute substantial project changes or new information that would require preparation of a new supplemental EIR to satisfy the California Environmental Quality Act. CRLA asserts that these changes may result in significant environmental impacts, including increased groundwater degradation and nuisance odors, which were not analyzed in the 2024 EIR. CRLA contends that the Central Valley Water Board must prepare a supplemental EIR prior to adopting the proposed WDRs. Staff disagrees that a supplemental EIR needs to be prepared and notes that Tulare County certified the EIR for the expansion of the land application areas and increased discharge in 2024. As a responsible agency, the board was consulted and commented on the draft EIR prior to certification. The modifications of the treatment system described are minor, already part of the existing facility, and do not result in any new or more severe environmental impacts that would require preparation of a supplemental EIR. With respect to the addition of the Bella Pond, which already exists and is already in use, it's not clear what impacts CRLA believes will result from the adoption of the proposed WDRs, especially given that the Bella Pond is equipped with a high-density polyethylene liner to prevent percolation of wastewater from the pond, as well as impacts to groundwater. The proposed WDRs would authorize expanded waste discharges to LAAs that are already used for irrigated agriculture, and which were already evaluated in the EIR. To the extent that the proposed WDRs would approve a change in the treatment systems beyond what was considered in the EIR, any such change would not foreseeably impact the environment. In summary, the proposed WDR orders include necessary requirements to protect water quality, prevent pollution, address odor issues, and support regional and nitrate salinity management efforts. This concludes my presentation, and staff recommends the adoption of the revised WDRs for the facilities as proposed. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Do my colleagues have any questions for staff?
I had a quick question, and thank you for your presentation. What is considered, in your last slide there, you mentioned the adoption of the proposed WDR will result in minimum environmental impact. What is considered minimum impact?
Well, the pond, with respect to the new components that weren't part of the prior project configuration, I think the biggest aspect is the new Bella Pond that wasn't contemplated in the EIR. However, that pond has already been constructed and has a liner to prevent any percolation of wastewater to groundwater, preventing any groundwater impacts. And all the odor mitigation measures that are required by the WDRs should prevent odor conditions with regard to CEQA or any supplemental EIR consideration.
And I think Brian's exactly right. The challenge when that comment is specifically related to the CEQA concerns. And we're in an interesting position for many of the CEQA arguments as a regulatory agency that is generally tightening regulatory requirements on facilities like Sentence. And virtually everything that we've been doing for the past decade with respect to that facility, the back and forth, and particularly in the last few years, has been to tighten the environmental controls, have them close down those parts of the facility that are contributing to nuisance complaints, and substantially upgrade what they have been doing with respect to getting the wastewater into the orchards that receive their wastewater. So when we talk about minimal contribution, it's minimizing the impacts of the operation of that facility.
One last question, have the odor issue, has it been eliminated to where we're not receiving any more complaints from residents?
During the 2025 processing season, there was one complaint at the end of the processing season. Regional board staff, I believe, and air district staff investigated that complaint and found that the source of the odors were from finished compost that were stockpiled on the dischargers LAAs. Finished compost isn't related to wastewater treatment or control, but it was the agricultural amendment that was causing those odors.
Yeah, and just an add-on to what Brian has said, we had one confirmed complaint. We actually received 4 complaints during the processing season on October 13th, 20th, 21st, and 23rd of 2025. And the Air Board was able to confirm that one complaint. We weren't able to confirm the others.
And you'll hear from the community next. I hesitate to say that all the odor issues were resolved within the community. Recognizing that our authority really just extends to those odors that could occur as a result of treatment of wastes at the Seton facility. We are sensitive to and will continue to respond to any odor complaints that are alleged to be associated with the Seton facility. We will continue to respond to those, but we have found, and Brian's team has been out there, some of the odors are just not associated with Seton's operations. But again, when the concern is raised, we will actively investigate.
Any other question? Yeah, Member Yang.
Just clarification for the 350-acre pond that has been discontinued or recommend to be discontinued?
No, there's no longer any wastewater discharge to that pond. That was part of the response to the cease and desist order. The discharger stopped all wastewater discharge, and the proposed WDRs in front of you prohibit any wastewater discharges from going to that pond.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe just to clarify that the 350 acre foot pond, it does receive stormwater. So that the design originally from SEN was to combine the pistachio wastewater that SEN was producing with stormwater. Pistachio wastewater, you get a lot of wastewater in a very short time. And so to store that and then apply it kind of year round was the original idea. It didn't work out. The odors and the nuisance conditions that were coming from the pond obviously impacted the community. So there still is stormwater that goes to the pond, but it's not any of the wastewater that's produced from either Porterville Citrus or SEN.
Follow-up question on the online pond question. What would be the regulatory trigger to revisit that particular question?
It is whether we should have the pond line or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the major efforts that Brian's team's done over the past 10 reviews, the reported waste discharges, we determined if, hey, should a pond be lined? Depending on the site specific conditions, how much wastewater is going in, what the strength of the wastewater is. The 2 ponds that are unlined have minimal retention, and there's a requirement within this permit that they have to have wastewater stored in the pond less than 2 hours. So if we find evidence that these ponds are impacting groundwater, they're causing degradation beyond what the permit authorized, we can come back, revisit that, and include a requirement to have the ponds lined. The 2 major constituents of concern for pistachio wastewater is you have nitrogen and you have salt, and for both aspects, the discharger is part of the nitrate control program. They're part of a priority 1 management zone. They're part of the P&O study, and so they're doing efforts and supporting efforts down there locally to address the region-wide issues that are going on with salt and nitrate. And it's part of our response, and part of the investigation they have to do is part of being included in the management zone down there, as well as the P&O study.
And relative on the CEQA side of it, do we know if there's been a CEQA action brought against the county and Seton for the 2024 EIR?
The status of that, I believe the commenters might bring that up.
All right. Well, with that, I think we'll take a short bio break here. We'll reconvene at 10:35. All right, I'm going to call the meeting back into order. We'll continue with item number 11. At this point, does Seton wish to make any presentation at this time?
Sorry about that. I'm new to this. Hello again. My name is Fernando Rios. I'm the Office Regulatory and Compliance Manager for San Pistachio. Address is 9370 Road 234 in Terabella, and have taken the oath. I am here in support of the tentative WDR. I have provided the information and given the Water Board staff a tour of our wastewater filtration and distribution system, bringing this report up to date, benefiting the community, Portable Citrus, the Water Board, and San Pistachio. I wanted to make myself available to the board and to staff if there were any specific operational questions I could answer. I also want to thank staff for preparing this comprehensive report. It's very detailed. And I just want to say thank you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll now hear from California Rural Legal Assistance and members of the Terabella community. For those folks that are online, IT, please unmute those folks.
I see Lupe Cypress, Garrett Keller with their hand raised. Fred Beltran, we heard from earlier, so he wanted to comment on this item, so he should be admitted as well. And then I see Maria Ledesma, I want to say. Maria, if you could raise your hand if you want to comment on this item, and we'll admit you. Jeff Pyle is our staff person. And Joanne, if you want to comment on this item, please raise your hand.
Are we using translation services for any of the commentors? Do we know?
I believe so for the folks online.
Okay.
Yeah.
So English speakers will be limited to 3. Those with translation services will get 6 minutes. So please proceed.
Thank you so much. So good morning, everyone. My name is Leticia. I'm with California Rural Legal Assistance, here on behalf of Terabella Voice for Change. First, we wanted to let you all know that I know we've talked about this already, but we did submit comments last night. Apologies for submitting them so late. We requested some air quality complaints from the Air District, and we received them only recently. And it was a lot of documents that are part of the attachment, which were also not considered when the WDR was being drafted. So I hope that you reconsider and you do accept the document that we submitted. We also made additional arguments that if you don't submit it, I'll make them now quickly so they can be part of the record. So I wanted to start off by saying that in terms of, and Brian, thank you so much for summarizing everything. In terms of anti-degradation, we just want to say that there's supposed to be a, in terms of the, So there was evidence in the WDR saying that there's these two groundwater wells that have high nitrates. They're at 24 MGL. And so that's double the amount. I want to point that out. The Water Board does make the assertion that they may be contributing to the nitrates there may be a contribution of nitrates from the facility to that groundwater, or it might be coming from the LAAs. That being said, I think the best practical treatment would just be to line the ponds to resolve the issue and try to figure out where that's coming from to address the nitrates. The second thing is that we do believe that the Water Board doesn't consider Water Code Section 13149.2C. And this basically says that the state board or regional board should make concise and programmatic findings on potential environmental justice, tribal impact, and racial equity considerations related to the issuance. So while the Central Valley Water Board did conduct some outreach in disadvantaged communities and solicited consultations through the September 2025 letter, and considered some information. Here, they essentially in the report summarized what happened so far, but they failed to summarize our concerns and address those concerns in the document itself. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was essentially the reference to the basin plan under the anti-degradation law. So for water quality. And so for that, under Agua, which I'm sure you all are very familiar with that case, essentially says that the anti-degradation needs to be, oh, I ran out of time, huh? Needs to be, it's its own analysis. And so the reliance on CV salts is inappropriate. And we urge you to reject the WDR until those amendments are made. Thanks.
All right, next speaker.
All right, we have I see Lupe Cipres.
Cipres, are you on?
She is on. We're looking to see if she can unmute herself. Perhaps we can get back to Ms. Cipres and go to Fred Beltran next.
Mr. Beltran, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Please proceed.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yes, my name is Fred Beltran. I've been a resident of Terabel for 25 years, and I'm also part of the Terabella Voice for Change, and also on the school board there, which represents about 800 students and about 40 staff. And the school is about a quarter mile east of the plant, Seton plant, and downwind from the facility. It is important that you know that the water board is stays on top of this and staff, because there's a history of violations and infractions that Seton has done and has caused, and adding additional issues to the water quality. And so again, with this permit, I think the number of times they're going to be tested and monitored and reviews, I think it's important that they do that a little bit more often to do that. You know, I don't know the effects of some of these issues are going to have on our children in the future, but it's important that we get some of these done. The whole community has been having meetings we're trying to educate them on air quality, smells and odors, pesticides, and water quality. And this whole issue of the smell and the water quality and how it all came, it's a very, you can see how technical everything is, the way it's being presented. It's very technical, so it's hard for us as residents to follow the ball with what's going on. So that's why the CRLA, Leticia, is representing us in some of those, because some of those documents that are coming out of there and reports are just way over our head. So I think it's critical that the board understand that you're there to help protect the constituents, your constituents, and the residents of Terabella. We have about a population of about 3,000 people in that area. And I think, again, it's important that that you stay on top of it, and the staff has done a tremendous job since we started this. You know, this project and these issues have been going on for about 10 years, and they dragged their feet for many years, and then now finally things are getting better. We just make sure that they don't get they don't get out of control. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Beltran.
And I think I see Lupe Cipres has unmuted herself.
Good morning. My name is Lupe Cipres. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Perfect. Thank you. I want to take an opportunity to say thank you to the Water Board. Thank you all for your hard work and everything you have done for our community. I also wanted to take an opportunity to also please ask you, as a community member, as part of Terabella Voices for Change, to please take into consideration all the violations that since Pistachio has occurred. You guys, some of the staff has known it by firsthand of the order that we have. We do feel confident that the Water Board will be reprimanding and taking very, very particular actions when it comes to the issues that have occurred, also being as a nuisance. And we also hope that you would consider as well doing the lining in the ponds. I have a well on my property, and I live about maybe half of a mile or a quarter of a mile from the distance to where the reservoirs are, all of them, most of the reservoirs. And I would like to ask to see if it is possible to have them lined. I have super high nitrates. I'm not able to use the water. It's very difficult to use it. We don't want to have any health issues that are associated to it. But we also would like to see as a community, we'd like to be addressed and to take in consideration the reporting of the water discharge. I know that that the permit is stating that they will be reporting and that it will be very precise in regards to it. But we would like to see if there would be a third party, because the previous permit that they had, they're required to report. And as you can tell by all the complaints that we had in the past, and we're still having, you can tell that it was not completed. So I asked the board to please turn around and put a stricter monitoring regulation, put a third party monitoring or something. And also in regards to the complaints of the orders, the community has stressed to me and also to all the community members in the meetings that there has been several reportings. Unfortunately, the Water Board relies on the Air Board in order to confirm these orders, but the orders happen, and when the agency comes out to report it or to investigate it, they come a day after the fact. They come 2 days after the facts. They follow up with us later on, telling us that they cannot confirm or report it because the order is no longer in the air, because there's nothing to prove where it's coming from directly. The one complaint that they did receive was from Sun Pistachio, was that they had their manure in the road, but that was not the order that originally was complained about. So there's misleading information in regards to when the order is. We understand we're not the only community in the state of California. We understand we're not the only community in the region as well too. But what we are asking the Water Board is to please buckle down on assisting us a lot more with having your staff come to the moment when the orders are occurring, not after the fact. But I thank you for your time and I appreciate everything that you guys do for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cypress. And please know that we're going to have staff respond to each and every commenter's issues at the end of the testimony. So please stay on the line. Next.
I can go next, or who's next?
We're going to call you. Sorry.
I see Garrett Keller.
Mr. Keller, please.
So I'm good to go?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, I'm here to support the WDR. I worked with Seton. I was part of the tour with the Water Board staff. I think that they've been very fair and very open about all the different things that go on with the WDR. And, you know, they've been here with us, Seton, PCI, and obviously the community. They did outreach. Like I said, we took them on a tour of our facilities. We showed them all our different processes. And think they were pretty impressed with some of the filtration that we do. Obviously, we line all our ponds. I think that an important thing to note about this WDR is that it doesn't allow for any more discharge. It doesn't give Seton any more, you know, opportunity to discharge more water or anything like that. And it does increase our monitoring. So it is actually stricter on us. So I think, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think that that should mitigate any concerns over any activities that could occur as a result of the WDR. I think that there's also confusion too about the smell. I know that Water Board staff had mentioned that there are multiple different sources of you know, odors that can be picked up. This was expressed. I went to the community meeting and a at the start, there was a lot of talk about Seton causing odors, and it was in March, which we don't have any water. We aren't operating. And after some more investigation and questions, it was kind of decided that there was basically no possible way that this could be coming from Seton, and that it was most likely coming from dischargers that were closer to the Deer Creek area. So I think there definitely is a lot of confusion about that. As far as degradation, the groundwater quality here is very similar and comparable to pretty much any other area in the region that we live in. Obviously, there's a lot of farming activities that go on here, so there are naturally higher nitrates and salts across the board, and we don't have any higher level of that. And one thing that we do to help provide this as part of the nitrates and salts studies and everything is we do have fill stations that provide residents with clean drinking water. I hear a lot about issues that have occurred, and many of these issues were over or at least the verified ones were over like a decade ago or half a decade ago, and were resolved as part of the cease and desist. And as far as the testing, we are required to use certified labs approved by the state to submit our testing to. And that's pretty much everything I have. I do have Nick Galusha here with PCI, so he'll be speaking next if that's all right. I also have some community members, Melissa Esquivel, Juan Torres, and Sam Quiros is over here as well. So would you like them to go next, or how would you like to do that?
I'll have staff call the next person.
Yeah, since I'm not sure I have all of those names, we'll restart the clock for each one, but feel free to have your team introduce themselves one by one, and we'll restart the clock for each one of the folks that you have down there.
Okay. I believe Nick will go next. He's with BCI.
Yes, my name is Nicholas Galusha. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of Porterville Citrus Incorporated. I'm also a resident of the Terabella area. We support the wastewater discharge requirements presented here today, and we support Seton's efforts to resolve all these issues. Thank you.
All right, I think I heard Sam Quiros on Garrett's team.
Yes, this is Samuel Quiros. I am pastor of the Nazarene Church here in Terabella. We are right across the street on Avenue 95 from the Seton facility. Our campus does support the WDRs. Our community, our congregation supports it as well. I can speak on behalf of them that we have noticed the positive changes over the last few years. Everything that they have done has had a positive impact on our campus, and I've heard nothing but good things from my congregation as far as the changes in the odors. We haven't noticed it at all since things were taken care of in 2020. And I've been a part of this community for 10 years and live on the campus in the church parsonage. So me and my family have noticed both sides of the issue, and it's nothing but positive in the last few years. That's all I would say.
Thank you so much. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I heard Juan Torres.
Yeah, that's correct.
Perfect.
Hello, good morning. I'm Terabella resident Juan Torres. I've lived here for a few years, and as long as I've been here, I haven't really smelled any bad odors coming from Seton or any of the orchards nearby. I came here to support the WDR, as Seton provides plenty of job opportunities, and the employees here help support the community. I know that we get plenty of, you see a lot of employees shopping here in town, so it helps with the local economy. And I have also taken, I use the fill stations both in the post office and here in the park. And, we see plenty of people out in the park, especially on weekends. You always see plenty of kids and families enjoying the park that Seton built. That is all. Thank you.
Hello.
And I think, is that the last one, Melissa Esquivel?
Yes. Hello. My name is Melissa Esquivel, and I'm a resident of Terabella. I just want to note down that there is no smell, and I'm very grateful to Set and Pistachio, the WDR. They bring economic to the Terra community, and they also make a lot of improvements to the community as well, which I'm also grateful for their behalf. Thank you for helping out the school, the parks, creating new sidewalks. So I just want to say thank you.
And I believe we have, so we're all set with Garrett's folks, is that correct?
Yeah, there's no one else here from the community.
Perfect. We have one other person on the Zoom, I believe, Maria Ledesma.
Good morning. My name is Maria Ledesma. I am a resident of Terra Bella and also an environmental justice advocate. I had to become an advocate as necessarily because of what I had endured in my personal life. My house is right next to Seton's main yard. So not only do I suffer from the horrible smell, but from the rats coming from their operation and the diesel trucks waiting to unload the part next to my fence. Well, I am not an expert. I do not know that when you are reviewing this type of permit, you have to consider the environmental justice aspects of the community where you are issuing the permit. I want to know what that analysis was and how this was considered when you decide to approve this new permit. My life and the life of Terra Bella residents deserve respect and considerations to ensure that our health and quality of life are not going to negatively impact. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, Ms. Ledesma. Does that conclude our speakers?
I want to do one more check to see if anybody else needs to raise their hand. They haven't spoken yet. All right. Well, I appreciate all the comments coming in. I'll have just a couple remarks quickly, unless Seton wants a closing of any type. I'm seeing indicating no. I do truly want to appreciate everybody from the community who got up and spoke today. For the board members that are newer to the board, Lupe, Fred, I remember you appearing before the board virtually in the middle of the pandemic, coming up and raising these concerns going back to 2020. I think your advocacy, and I know it was Mariah Thompson, I believe, with California Rural Legal Assistance at the time, have had a very meaningful impact on Seton's operations. I know Seton wouldn't have the same folks here today, but for the advocacy of the community. And I think Seton has risen to the challenge of adopting a lot of high-tech solutions to the water quality and nuisance issues that were created at the processing plant. With respect to the nitrates in the area and the locally high nitrates in the area, that is something absolutely the board recognizes. It is within a priority 1 management zone. Seton is a member of that management zone. It is also recognized that there are high salts in that discharge. Pistachios in particular tend to have higher salts. The trees can absorb more. They can live in higher salinity conditions, and the product that they produce tends to be higher in salinity as well. That is factored into the discharge, and they are paying into the prioritization and optimization study that is studying salinity issues for a long-term strategy, recognizing that there are salinity issues from one end of our region to the other. Lining the ponds is something that we will continue to take a look at. I think at this stage, there is not just one nitrate contribution. As we see in the dairy context, the ponds are just one relatively small piece of the overall nitrate picture that we need to work with and address in the valley. Irrigated ag, the dairies, other food processors, all are contributing nitrate to this area. The decommissioning of the large pond as a wastewater treatment pond, I think, was a major step forward. And lining a stormwater pond, just from my personal experience, isn't always the greatest idea either. If you have a pond like that that can take in stormwater and then rapidly infiltrate it into the groundwater, generally speaking, you are improving groundwater. That stormwater that's coming in is generally cleaner than the water that's below. It forms a natural aquifer recharge in that area. And it's generally a good thing from the board's perspective. If you put a liner in that, that might stop that action from happening. And that might also lead to other issues, algae growth and other things that need to be addressed in the stormwater pond. Again, we'll continue to look at it. It is possible that that pond could cause issues. And if it does, that would subject Seton to our regulatory authority. Moving ahead into some of the issues we actually talked about yesterday regarding environmental complaints. We will continue to respond in coordination with the Air District when we have environmental complaints and when we can play a lead role in that, because it is part of the Seton, because Seton is to blame for those odors. We will play a lead role. If it's not to blame, we have to defer to our sister state agencies and local agencies that are frankly better at doing this and have a greater expertise. They have air quality engineers that are specifically trained to address these type of concerns within these type of communities. I know, Fred, it gets frustrating. I know even from this chair, some of the issues that we address as a board are incredibly technical in nature. I know Alex and Brian and Christina have visited your community a number of times trying to explain what's happening and what our role is in terms that anybody can understand. And I'm an attorney, so every once in a while I have to tell my engineers, all right, back up just a minute. I need to understand that a little better. And they do their absolute best to make the issues known in a way that is understandable to just about anybody who has an interest in understanding those issues. I think one other component to the environmental complaints I would note, and I know it has been utilized before, every single one of our web pages. So we got together as executive officers a number of years ago, as I mentioned yesterday. If you Google water boards and you go to a water board page, whether it's Central Coast, Central Valley, State Water Board, at the bottom of every single page is a link to file an environmental complaint. That goes to the Cal EPA database system. You file that complaint there. Like I said yesterday, it gets routed to the right agency to handle it, whether it's a local district, whether it's a DTSC, whether it's the Air Board, whether it's Division of Drinking Water. It's an alphabet soup, and we do not expect folks to know which agency deals with what. You just click on that button, tell them what happened, and we will respond. It will get routed to Alex's team, to Brian's team, to Christina's teams, whether it's enforcement, whether it's another matter. We actually strive. It's in the executive officer report. Each and every executive officer report, our complaints and how we try to get those complaints down to zero each and every time. I do see one more person who joined the Zoom call. Try and see if Naimeen Martinez can have 3 minutes as well. I know there occasionally is difficulty. That concludes my remarks, but I'll want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak on this matter.
Ms. Martinez, are you there?
She's raising her hand. I think they're prompting her to click the right buttons to get to be a panelist.
While we're waiting for that, Patrick, I just want to say thank you for making those comments relative to the alphabet soup sometimes of these government agencies. I mean, we have a complex regulatory environment, and for folks just wanting to live their lives, you know, they just want to know that they're heard and their problems getting addressed. And so to the degree that we obviously try to facilitate that the folks get connected to the right people, that's certainly a good thing. But I understand what Mr. Beltran and Ms. Cypress are saying, obviously a lot of complex detail. Again, they just want to be heard and want their questions and concerns answered.
They've declined to be promoted. We'll give it one more shot here.
Yep.
We can provide a phone number.
Can I ask a question while we're waiting? on
Yes,
that?
please.
Yeah.
One of the residents asked about a third-party monitoring system being needed. Would you be able to respond to that?
For that, I think we will continue to coordinate with the Air District on that. When I think all available evidence that we have in the record are that the odors that are attributable to Seton have been resolved. In terms of a third-party Air District, that limits our authority to ask for that. The persons in the regulatory agency to impose that requirement would be the Air District at that stage.
Yeah, and the question there is that when the residents are speaking about by the time someone comes out, the odor is no longer there. So I know that's the AQMD, but how is it we're able to get them to move the ball? Because while we're listening, it's out of our area. It's on AQMD. So what can be done?
I think that's a longstanding issue, whether you're up in Reading, whether you're in the foothills. Sometimes the odor issues creep in the evening. I think there's a lot of complaints that we actually get in the evening. And even a third-party monitor couldn't necessarily be on site to get that air quality impacts assessed at that time. We'll strategize with the Air District that has a little bit more experience in getting those issues dealt with. I think very often when it is a water quality issue that is causing that odor impact, it's extremely unlikely that that issue resolves itself overnight. Usually, if you've got high BOD, if you've got rotting this or that in the fields, if you've over-applied wastewater, that smell will be there the next day, right? Or we will have some type of indication that something happened that caused that impact. And then we can go back through our records, take a look at how much water was put into a pond, how much water was applied to a field. If we need to do additional investigation to say, did a valve break? Did you overload the field that day? Were there unusual conditions? We can follow up that way. But it's tough. It is really tough for those odor issues. Again, I often defer to the air quality experts and the odor experts in that field. One last comment, and this is, I suppose, a little bit of an icky one. We don't have direct authority over the rat issues, but it is something that we have heard complaints from a whole bunch of folks, from the almond folks to people that run wastewater facilities, to run others. As you may know, California outlawed the second generation anticoagulant rodenticides in 2020. It led to an explosion in rats up and down California, particularly in ag lands. You could go into some almond orchards and the trees would be shaken because of the increased rat population. We are doing our best to make sure that, those animals that eat, that are predatory animals that could also be killed by that, are protected. And that's kind of the impact. You'd have, birds and others that might prey on rats could get affected by those poisons. So California as a state made the decision to outlaw them. There were unintended consequences, and it is not within our authority, but it is a complaint I have heard quite often from probably dozens of times since 2021, 2022, when that ban took effect. So I am absolutely sympathetic. I'm not sure what we can do with that, but I'm absolutely sympathetic to those concerns. And it looks like Ms. Martinez is on the Zoom now and is able to.
Thank you very much. I apologize. I'm on my phone, but I appreciate the opportunity to comment. I am here because I understand you don't have authority over pests, but you have authority over this permit. I'm on behalf of the community members that attended, over 30 of them that attended the meeting with the Regional Water Board staff at the end of March. I'm here to express their strong sentiment that they want requirements and enforcements that are more stringent in this water discharge permit that you are about to approve. The safeguard of the public health in Terra Bella is paramount. A lot of these community members that were there in that day and that your staff heard from them are not able to be here today. They're working, they are unable to join. But I want to be their voice. I want to be their voice because we are the ones as administrators of the I-1 reporting network in Tulare County that are receiving the complaints. They are not sending the complaints because many fear for retaliation. Either themselves or their family members are employed by Seton. So they feel that if they say anything and work goes to the employer, that would jeopardize their jobs. On top of that, I just want to make a comment regarding your suggestion of submitting a complaint through the CaliPA website. I've been informed by enforcement of CaliPA that website or that reporting system is not checked daily, and others are a problem. Even if I report another problem and the water board staff cannot go and investigate the complaint that same day, they're not going to be able to verify. Imagine if you submit a complaint and your complaint is reviewed the next week. That is not going to be an effective mechanism for community members to submit their complaint. With all due respect, I just wanted to say that that is not an efficient mechanism. And I will just close by saying that please put yourselves in the shoes of this unincorporated community that, yes, would like to have good jobs and this company in their community, but they are relying on your leadership to make sure that every single element that is under your power is put into place to protect the community from future nuisance and to ensure that their public health is protected. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Martinez.
And I will say, I understand the frustration that if you submit a complaint on Tuesday, it might not get to us until Wednesday. We do the absolute best we can to respond as directly as possible. For those of folks who they can send an email to the regional board and I know every member of this team that's worked on the permit has gone on response claims as quickly as they were able to address odor and nuisance concerns within Terra Bella. Clay regularly went down there on weekends. I know Christina, Brian, Alex, those community meetings were, not during the workday. We want to make sure that we are responsive and having those community meetings in an accessible time and accessible place. And we are not abandoning the community by issuing these WDRs. We will continue to exercise oversight and make sure that water quality is protected in this area. I'll go to Christina.
Yeah, I'd like to just address that this is not the end of our engagement with Terra Bella. Brian and Alex are part of our permitting team. Omar and Mario are actually part of our compliance and enforcement team, and they are actively involved and will continue to do so. They go to monthly IVAN meetings. There are several other locations in Terra Bella that they are actively engaged with. And we don't just provide the CaliPA online complaint option. Mario actually provides his personal telephone number at work, and we also provide our main office line and our Office of Public Engagement, Equity, and Tribal Affairs. So we want to make sure that we provide multiple avenues for the community to engage with us, specifically so they can address issues like, I want to make a complaint, but I need it to stay anonymous.
Thank you for that. Any further discussion among my colleagues?
Yeah, I had one final question, and it's for Brian, about how many complaints have we received since our April 25th meeting regarding this matter? As I heard the last speaker, Ms. Martinez, say people are reluctant to complain because that's their employer. But if you could share with us what that number might be.
Yeah, so as Christina mentioned earlier, we received 4 complaints during the 2025 harvest season. One of those was confirmed by the Air District. The others were not. The one that was confirmed was found to be sourced from finished compost that was stockpiled at the LAAs. So not a function of the wastewater treatment or disposal, but as an agricultural amendment. So in total, there's been 4 received and 1 confirmed complaint.
Can I ask the representative from Sutton, what type of internal processes, do you have a hotline? I know people voice concern about anonymous complaints, but what is the company's procedures relative to receiving complaints? Because certainly we're not the only ones receiving complaints. I'm assuming some complaints are filtering to you. So how do you guys address those?
Yeah, so is it on? Yeah, so the past 5 years, we've been receiving complaints, but it's not coming from our process. There's other discharges in the area that could have, I don't want to point fingers, but it could be causing the issues. So once we removed the wastewater from the 350 acre foot pond, that really solved the problem. But there's ongoing complaints, and I meet with the Air District staff on when they receive it, and we try to identify where that odor is coming from, but it's not coming from SEN, so I can't really go onto other people's property to identify that.
But you do have an internal, do you have a hotline?
Yeah,
you field those and you keep track of those, and
yeah,
that's something you discuss with amongst others, water board staff as well?
Yeah, we have an internal log. Once we receive a complaint, we go investigate it, we identify where it might be coming from, we just kind of do it all internal. But I'm the regulatory and compliance manager, so they call me if there's any issues with odor, rats, wastewater issues. And we, if there is an issue, of course, we resolve them within a 24-hour period. But again, like over the past 5 years, we've been actually doing really, really good with our discharge.
All right, thank you. All right, at this point, Patrick, your recommendation? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sean.
Yeah, I just want to second to Denise's concern and those questions. I think it's very valid. I just wanted to say that, I'm happy to hear that there has been improvement and the fact that we're gonna, see it going forward. With that said, I would like a little bit more detail as far as the folks that are complaining about the odor, how far they live from the site and whereabouts, because just to get some details. And I think that may be able to help us going forward. So the more detail we get, the better it may be. Just wanted to add on to Denise's points.
Sure. Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. It's one of the major issues with this site is the proximity of the facility to the community of Terabella. And so the community of Terabella is about a quarter of a mile away, depending on where you're at, in Terabella. So it's right there as you're coming east into enter the community of Terabella, you hit send first. So the complaints we've received have been with from residents within the community of Terabella that live within, about a mile of the facility, depending where they're located within the community.
Appreciate that. And I also wanted to thank the commenters, who lives in that area. Thank you for sharing and continue to share because we are partnership with our shareholders to resolve issues then, now, and going forward. So thank you for your participation. I appreciate you.
Questions? Patrick?
I continue to recommend adoption of the proposed order.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve revised waste discharge requirements for Set and Pistachio of Terabella.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Please take the roll.
Board Member Bradford,
Yes.
Board Member Kadara,
Yes.
Board Member Yang,
Aye.
Board Member Baggett,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lee Reader,
Aye.
Chair Abdus.
Yes. All right. Well, we've reached the end of our agenda. This meeting is now adjourned. The next board meeting will be held here in Rancho Cordova, August 27th and 28th. Thank you, everyone.